Kelechi thought he was rescuing a helpless woman in the forest, but he had actually brought a serpent into his home. That single act cost him his wife, his peace, and nearly his life. This is the chilling tale of Amara, the snake-woman, who smiled like a friend but struck like death.
Kelechi and Ngozi lived at the edge of the great river forest, where mornings were filled with birdsong and evenings with the croak of frogs. Their hut was built of red clay with a thatched roof that let in slivers of sunlight during the day. Though poor in possessions, they were rich in love and contentment. Kelechi hunted antelope and bush pigs, while Ngozi tended cassava, peppers, and cocoyam in their small garden. Their bond was admired, for they shared everything: laughter, burdens, and even silence. Many in the village spoke fondly of them, believing their home was blessed by the gods. But destiny shifted one evening as Kelechi ventured deep into the forest. He found a young woman lying unconscious beneath an iroko tree, her clothes torn and her body weak. Her beauty struck him: sharp cheekbones, full lips, and haunting eyes, even in her weakness. Without hesitation, he carried her home, believing Ngozi's compassionate heart would not allow him to leave a stranger in distress. Yet, unknown to him, that choice would open the door to a darkness their peaceful home had never known. Ngozi's spirit recoiled the moment her eyes met the stranger's. The woman, who called herself Amara, carried an aura that pressed heavily upon the air, as though unseen shadows followed her. Kelechi, moved by pity, explained how he had found her in the forest, but Ngozi's instinct screamed that something was wrong. Amara's voice was soft, yet her gaze sharp, almost predatory, as if studying every corner of their heart. Still, Ngozi offered her food and water out of courtesy, though her hand trembled as she set the bowl before her. That night, Ngozi struggled to sleep. She thought she heard a rustling, a strange dragging sound like scales brushing against earth. Turning quickly, she found Amara lying peacefully, her breathing steady, her eyes closed. Kelechi, exhausted from the day, snored beside her without worry. Ngozi shut her eyes, but the unease gnawed at her bones. She knew it was more than jealousy or discomfort. It was a warning planted deep in her spirit, a whisper from her ancestors that danger had entered their home. At dawn, Kelechi prepared for the hunt, bow slung across his shoulder, arrows rattling in their quiver. He assured Ngozi there was no danger in leaving her alone with Amara. She begged him quietly, her voice edged with fear, but he laughed softly and promised to return soon. She is only a weary traveler, nothing more. Reluctantly, Ngozi let him go, though her heart felt heavier with every step he took into the forest. Alone, she tried to busy herself with chores, fetching water, pounding yam, weeding the garden, but unease stalked her every move. Amara, on the other hand, hardly spoke. She sat in the shade, eyes following Ngozi with an intensity that made her shiver. At one point, Ngozi caught her staring with such unblinking sharpness that her knees grew weak. A memory returned. The faint flicker of scales she thought she saw the night before. Ngozi's heart raced. She forced herself to look away, but the fear in her chest only grew stronger. The garden that once brought her peace now felt like a trap closing around her. It happened suddenly. As Ngozi bent over her cassava mounds, she heard the unmistakable hiss of a serpent. Her blood ran cold. Turning slowly, she froze at the sight before her.
Amara's body twisting and lengthening, her skin peeling into glistening green scales. Where once stood a woman, now coiled a monstrous serpent, its eyes glowing yellow with hunger. Ngozi's scream tore through the air, but it was swallowed by the forest that surrounded their home. Before she could flee, the creature lunged, wrapping its massive coils around her body. The pressure crushed her ribs, forcing the air from her lungs. She gasped, struggled, scratched at the scales, but the serpent only tightened its grip. The sound of bones cracking echoed faintly before her body fell limp, life extinguished. Slowly, the coils loosened, and Amara stood once more in her human form, brushing dirt from her wrapper. Calmly, she walked into the village marketplace, her face serene, her steps unhurried. To anyone who saw her, she was nothing more than a beautiful woman running errands. No one would suspect the horror she had just unleashed. Far away in the forest, Kelechi's hunt faltered. His hands trembled on his bowstring, and a strange chill coursed through his body. The forest, usually alive with the chatter of birds, was now eerily silent. His instincts screamed at him, urging him to return home. Dropping his prey, he ran through the dense undergrowth, heart pounding as dread weighed heavily on him. Each step quickened his fear, until finally the sight of his hut came into view. But it was too quiet. No welcoming smile, no clatter of pots, no voice calling his name. "Kedu, Ngozi!" he called out, his voice strained. Silence. He searched the hut, finding only emptiness. Then his eyes fell upon the garden, and there she lay, motionless, on the earth she had so lovingly tended. His breath caught, his knees gave way, and grief tore through him like a spear. Clutching her lifeless body, he wailed until the sound echoed into the forest. In that moment of sorrow, he did not notice Amara standing nearby, her eyes watching him with feigned sympathy, already planning her next move.